Maddie, a young girl of small stature, woke up to the gentle calamity outside her dwelling. Around her were the same things she's always had: a kitchen, a bathroom, her sleeping pills, and her books. All she's done with time was read. Maddie couldn't remember the last time she used a pill, but was compelled to keep them, perhaps an instinct or uneasy feeling. Maddie pulled herself over the edge of her cot. She walked to the bathroom and fell into the view of her mirror. Her golden hair and oceanic eyes contradicted the dull browns and beiges of her place of residence. Maddie's eyes presented a shimmer of green, as if life had been brought to the depressed blues of the deep ocean. Despite her new color, Maddie continued with her day. Passing her bookshelves, Maddie listened to the cacophony outside escalate. The sounds of life surrounded her, and unanimously decided to bring her into the outer world. She needed to go out. She needed to see. She needed to breathe. Looking towards the exit, Maddie caught the edge of an envelope. On the floor, under the door, lay a letter in a stained envelope. She reached for the paper casing and breached the newly formed seal. Poorly scribbled were the words and phrases that could ignite fear in anyone and spread like disease. Noises are not what we wish them to be. Places once familiar become treacherous. Regret becomes your only thought. 1 you can trust, 3 you cannot. Do not go outside. Maddie's mind swirled around the note and its darkly blotted container. The noises in the outside interrupted her storm of thoughts, beckoning her to move past the door of the structure. Disregarding the note, Maddie tucked the warning away and moved to the knob of her release. The only thing left between her and the knowledge of what she was missing. Nothing was holding her back. Maddie twisted the knob on the door. The mechanics of the lock twisted effortlessly, like they were used previously. Light screamed through past Maddie into the room. The sun was overbearing, but she squinted through the heat. She stepped over the threshold of her confinement. Although she expected a wave of refreshment curiosity, Maddie did not anticipate the feeling of familiarity. She began to move past the wall of her habitat. Maddie stepped onto the grass painted with a dead, washed-out grain, similar to that of sickness. She looked past her feet, tracking a ring of large trees all around her. The trees pointed upwards, positioned with determination to keep her within the expansive and sickly clearing. There was only one construct other than the one she emerged from, a shack down near the edge of the trees. Maddie hadn't heard any of the joyous discordance that motivated her to leave and wondered where everyone had gone. As if uttering her thoughts to the arid space in front of her, a definable noise crawled to her ear from the shack down the way, a noise that to her was indicative of happiness. Before she could question her situation, Maddie took off in a full sprint towards the massive box. Reaching the structure was easier than she thought. Maddie was in peak shape and didn't tire on her trip down. The shape of the new location was like her previous area, albeit smaller. The color scheme remained the same, repetitive brown and uninvolved beige atop the mucus-laden ground. A door led into the gross box and had an easy turning handle. Inside was a table and a few chairs with old, crusty papers sprawled over the surface. The interior was dusty and desolate. Nothing spoke to her eyes, and Maddie soon lost interest in anything that the square had. While leaving the square, Maddie heard more friendly tones. Now that she was near the shack, Maddie realized they were coming from beyond the tree ring. Eagerness and desire took over, and cautiousness was thrown to the infectious blades beneath Maddie's feet. Sprinting again, Maddie reached the ring and saw the thick wood behind it. There was nothing but steep trees and dark canopies following the ring. Another pang of desire surged as the sound of more joy and more happiness flowed between the trees. Maddie continued following the sounds, hoping to find where she wanted to go. The trees were tightly knit together, forcing Maddie to make a weaving pattern as she moved towards the sounds. The sounds were so friendly to Maddie, an innocent being who wanted to have fun and play. The wood grew thicker and Maddie had to move carefully on her way to the sounds. While moving in on the noise, the sun's light had dwindled with the tree's influence. Despite the lessening power of the light behind her, a new light illuminated her way. A new light running through a new clearing. She emerged out of the other side of the wood and beheld a massive box. This new box was beautiful, colorful in ways that she never knew could be on a living space. Cutouts in the walls were filled with sheer glass panels and allowed a glimpse into the impressive structure. Sitting arrangements, tables, chairs, and lights were strewn in a tasteful manner. Curious to see the rest, Maddie went to the door. The handle was tough and strangely cold, even with the sun's intensity. The door opened with resistance equal to her readiness. Inside was cold and dark. The sun wasn't included in the decoration. Taking in the temperature change and scenery, Maddie felt like she could stay forever. Yet, a noise rang in an ever so affectionate tone. Maddie turned to the location and finally saw the beings who drew her out and embraced her with warmth and kindness. A few people approached from somewhere within the colorful box, but they didn't match their surroundings. They were dark and gross. Gross faces with mean personalities. Gross bodies with evil intent. Maddie screamed, but she didn't hear fear. She heard the joy, happiness, and fun she had originally heard earlier. Maddie realized why she sounded that way. The noises never resonated from sincerity. The creature's soothing linguistics were trickery and mockery. Maddie bolted through the door, hinges quaking as she slammed the bright piece of wood closed. Leaving the color palace, Maddie went over the same diseased grass and into the same wood. The trees struck her down and obscured her previous pathway. Her heartbeat tuned to the sound of the creature's running footsteps behind. She abandoned her position and ran through the darkly bright forest, running, dodging, running, dodging, running, and running. Maddie was lost in the forest. The creatures had ceased their chase, not caring enough about Maddie to continue. She was lost in her minds and thoughts. She simply wondered, why? She couldn't make sense of her situation. Maddie sat oblivious to her surroundings until a gray old woman sat next to her. The only color remaining in the woman's face were her eyes. Eyes of emerald green, with revolting shades of melancholy blue. Her eyes were enthralling and enticing, dispelling Maddie's nerves. The woman spoke with a voice soft yet powerful, a voice capable of commanding billions. Maddie listened to the woman's wisdom, and it didn't matter that she didn't know the lady. This woman was the only thing that didn't harm or deceive her. Maddie absorbed the commanding tones directed at her. She was told that everything could be gone. Her experience today could be removed. She was told nothing like this would ever happen again. She only had to listen and obey. The woman's voice was near scornful and harsh. The woman told Maddie to take the sleeping pills when she returned to her box on the other side of the wood. Maddie didn't have the energy to question anything the woman said or ask how she knew. The woman directed Maddie to a path within the trees that led to the shack near the ring in her clearing. Maddie ran the path without another look at her nightmare, without another thought about her life. It was darker in the clearing than it was before. More darkness and less light. More confusion and less understanding. Maddie entered the clearing and went through to her box. The grass on the edge of a fatal cliff with its plague-like appearance. She re-entered her strangely unknown, disgusting square. Upon seeing the door, Maddie remembered the note she found earlier. Maddie hated what had happened. She wanted to leave the clearing, leave the ring, leave the confinement. She took the pills the woman spoke of. She held the envelope and reread the words, running her dirty hands over the paper. Noises are not what we wish them to be. Places once familiar become treacherous. 1 you can trust, 3 you cannot. Regret becomes your only thought. Do not go outside. The pills worked, making Maddie tired. She let the note fall to the floor, sweeping its way down like a dying leaf. Staggering to the cot, Maddie slipped onto the sheet of fabric and looked up at the ceiling. The similar browns and beiges were no longer familiar to her. She dropped into a dreamless blackness. Maddie woke up to the sound of the usual joyous noises. She moved unsteadily to the bathroom, taking in the sight of the only bright colors, deep blues with quiet whispers of green. Maddie heard the noises calling to come outside. She moved to the door and beheld a stained envelope. She read the note and ignored the warning. She opened the door with ease and stepped onto grass, sick with a disease that won't ever end.